A pregnant woman visits the hospital for a routine examination and unexpectedly encounters her partner with his lover there for her own checkup. "I've been trembling ever since I found out I was expecting. You've never been here with me," she exclaims. It becomes clear that her partner has been involved with someone else. The lover points accusingly at her. "Alex, didn't you say your spouse had passed away? Then why is she here?" Alex pursues his mistress who has fled, while she remains standing there, feeling humiliated under everyone's gaze. Shortly after, she suffers a premature delivery and dies on the operating table due to severe hemorrhage. When she regains consciousness, she finds herself reborn to the day Alex cherished her the most. "Sophia, will you be my girlfriend? Sophia, I care about you deeply. I will always love you," Alex declares outside the female dormitory, holding a bouquet of flowers and shouting upwards. A crowd gathers around him, cheering loudly, their voices growing louder as if they won't cease until she responds. Frustrated, she closes her eyes and pulls the blanket over her ears. "Sophia, don't you have feelings for Alex too? What a perfect chance. Why aren't you coming down?" She looks at a familiar face beside her, her roommate, Lily, who would later become Alex's mistress. Indeed, she has been reborn to when she was 18, a time when she and Alex were deeply in love. Meeting Lily's gaze, she notices a hint of jealousy in her eyes, and a smile slowly forms on her lips. "All right, I'll get ready and come downstairs soon." She takes her time dressing, changing outfits, applying makeup, and styling her hair deliberately. "Sophia, hurry up or you'll be late for curfew." Lily continues to urge her on, her tone masking genuine jealousy. After meticulously preparing, she finally steps out without giving Lily a second glance. Upon reaching the bottom, Alex's friends greet her warmly, but she ignores them, walking straight to Alex, who stands at the center. Heart-shaped lights scattered on the ground shimmer beneath her feet, and in Alex's eyes, only her reflection is visible. "Sophia, will you be my girlfriend?" Alex looks at her intently, his eyes burning with emotion. The crowd's cheers persistently echo around them. "Say yes! Say yes!" She lowers her head, concealing the turmoil in her eyes, and softly responds, "Yes." Alex's eyes light up with uncontrollable joy as he wraps an arm around her waist and leans in for a kiss. She tilts up slightly, placing a quick kiss on his cheek. He is momentarily taken aback before smiling warmly. "Sophia, you're stunning." She pretends to shyly lean against him, but notices a tall, slender boy watching quietly from the back. It's Ethan, one of Alex's roommates. Unlike the others, Ethan doesn't mingle much. He's very attractive, but no one dares approach him. Rumors say he's the son of a notorious criminal, and everyone fears him. In her memory, he's always been a solitary figure. However, it was Ethan who approached her alone after Alex confessed his feelings, warning her that Alex had a performative nature and that she shouldn't take things too seriously. She remembers dismissing his concerns mockingly. "Do you have feelings for me? Is that why you're speaking ill of Alex? Let me tell you, even if I didn't care for Alex, I would never care for you." On her wedding day with Alex, she hears he left the country and never came back. "Sophia, what are you staring at?" She quickly shifts her gaze to Alex. "Nothing. It's getting late. I should head back to the dorm. I'll walk you home." "No need. It's just ahead." She drags her feet toward the dorm entrance. Just as she's about to enter, a calm, cold voice halts her. "Sophia, wait a moment." She stops and turns around, pretending to be confused. "What's wrong?" He stands under a street lamp, the dim light softening his usually sharp demeanor. Alex is adept at hiding his true feelings. He might not be as trustworthy as she thought. When you're with him, don't trust him completely. After saying that, he turns to leave. "I understand. Thank you," she calls after him. He pauses briefly before continuing on his way. In her previous life, she never got to say this. Thank you. Now, her wish is fulfilled. As for Alex, she vows to make him pay. During their relationship, love was superficial, mostly about money. Alex was the poorest student in their class, while she was an only child from a moderately wealthy family. Not only did Alex spend her money recklessly, but he also used it to support his mistress. A mocking smile appears on her lips as she calms her racing heart and enters the dormitory. Every day she sends gifts to Alex, limited edition sneakers, designer clothes, expensive gadgets, and various bouquets, hand-wrapped bouquets of ginkgo, candy, and roses, some even bundled with cash. Naturally, she didn't wrap these herself. She ordered them from random online stores and had them delivered by courier services. Beautiful and timely, whenever she met Alex, she would tearfully extend her hands and lament, "My hands are going to be ruined from wrapping these." He would hold her hands, his tone slightly reproachful but mostly tender. "I told you there's no need to send so many. Don't do it next time. It breaks my heart." Seeing the joy in his eyes makes her feel nauseous. She kept spending more money on Alex, taking him to upscale venues and indulging in lavish expenses. Rumors spread around campus. Some claimed Alex was involved with a wealthy older woman, while others labeled her as his ATM. Recently, Alex faced numerous anonymous complaints about his extravagant spending. His professors revoked his financial aid for underprivileged students, leaving her as his sole financial support. With a major family crisis looming in about a month, she began transferring money to him regularly, amounts ranging from a few thousand to tens of thousands. She only transferred whole numbers and avoided doing so during specific holidays. Alex would protest, "Baby, no, you can't. I don't want it." But later he'd reassure, "Honey, what's yours is mine. Let me keep the money safe for you." She simply smiled and replied, "Sure." Lily had been rarely seen around the dorm lately. She had casually mentioned a few places Alex frequented in front of her. Before long, people claimed to have seen Lily and Alex getting close, and even spotted them entering a hotel near the school together. "Sophia, they're slandering me. I've never been to that hotel," Alex protested, looking indignant and upset. She feigned anger. "How can they say that? It's so unfair." Alex looked at her tenderly. "Sophia, you're the best. You're my girlfriend. I'm always on your side." She paused, gazed into his eyes, and slowly asked, "Alex, you'll always love me, right?" "Of course, silly. As long as you don't break up with me, we'll never part." She smiled, not missing the fleeting guilt in his eyes. Soon, she obtained evidence against Alex. A boy with distinct features handed her a stack of photos showing Alex and Lily in intimate moments. She had witnessed them that day and snapped some pictures. "Don't be too sad. The most important thing is to cut your losses." Was the hotel visit also just a detour? He hesitated, his Adam's apple bobbing, and finally mumbled a yes. She noticed his ears turning slightly red and his uneasy gaze. "Ethan, do you have feelings for me?" In both her past life and this one, no matter when she looked back, he was always present in the crowd. Ethan lowered his head, speaking softly. "Yes, I do. I like you." "Why? You know I'm not interested in you." "There's no reason. Liking you is my own choice. Whether you like me back doesn't matter." With that, he pulled up the hood of his black hoodie and ran off. Watching him leave for the first time, she felt uncertain about her next move. She turned around and anonymously posted the photos on the school's forum. The post quickly went viral. Alex's reputation plummeted as stories of him having a girlfriend and visiting a hotel with her roommates spread across the campus. He was despised and scorned by everyone. Alex would soon be looking for her. She deliberately sat alone on the rooftop, where they often hung out, and applied eye drops to trigger tears. Soon, tears streamed uncontrollably. She hugged her knees, crying her heart out. Suddenly, someone handed her a tissue. "Get lost! Who asked you to come here?" She buried her head into her knees, crying louder. "Do you really like him that much?" A familiar voice rang out. She froze, looking up in disbelief. "Ethan, it's you. If it's not me, are you still waiting for him?" His fists clenched, crumpling the tissue paper. She had never seen him this angry. Panicking, she tried to back away. "What are you afraid of?" He crouched down, gripping her waist to prevent her from moving back. She straightened up, too scared to move. I'm scared you'll hit me." He muttered a curse and roughly wiped her tears with the tissue. "Damn, my hard-earned tears, no more crying," he demanded sternly, his eyes red. She looked at him weakly and said, "If you leave, I'll stop crying. Alex could arrive any moment now. If he sees me with Ethan, my long-laid plans will be ruined." "You?" Ethan started to speak, then stopped, glaring at her before storming off. Not long after, Alex found her. She quickly pinched her thigh, causing more tears to flow. "Sophia, I knew you'd be here," he said urgently. "Believe me, everything in that post is fake." She covered her ears. Go away. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear anything. He hugged her tightly, continuously explaining, Sophia, that's not me in those pictures. The guy just looks a bit like me. I would never betray you. She looked at him, her face full of sincerity, though she felt nothing but disgust. Inside, his eyes showed even more guilt as he nodded hesitantly. Of course, she hugged him back, smiling through her tears. Alex, betraying true feelings is like swallowing 1,000 needles. I believe you. From a concealed angle, she smirked with pure sarcasm. Back at the dorm, she found Lily trying on dresses repeatedly. Seeing her, Lily pretended to be concerned. Sophia, are you okay? Don't believe that post. It's my boyfriend in the pictures, not yours. They just look alike. She smiled and replied, Lily, don't worry. I'm fine. I believe my boyfriend. That's good. I'm going out on a date then. Okay, she responded, but this time Lily returned shortly after she left. Oh, is she already having a fight with her boyfriend? Valentine's Day was approaching soon. Unexpectedly, Alex sent her a substantial amount of money with a note. Baby, I love you. Happy Valentine's Day. For someone as frugal as Alex, this was a significant gesture. She accepted the money and responded with a heart emoji. That evening, after having dinner with Alex, he mentioned that his professor had called him for something urgent, so he had to leave. Sophia, I'll make it up to you for Valentine's Day tomorrow. Okay, she replied understandingly. Sure, no problem. You can go. About an hour later, she saw a tweet from Lily. It was a selfie with part of someone's shirt visible in the picture. She immediately recognized the shirt. It was the one Alex had worn that day, the one she had bought him from a high-end brand last month. Lily's caption read, Happy Valentine's Day, everyone, even though someone doesn't want to take a photo with me. The location was a popular stargazing spot that Alex had taken her to before. She smiled slightly and took a cab there. Under a tree adorned with colorful neon lights, she saw Alex and Lily searching for the best angle. She took out her phone and began recording. Alex, did you make sure she didn't suspect anything? Every time I meet you, she has no idea. Lily leaned into him with a smile. Yeah, she trusts you so much. It's so easy to deceive someone so wealthy and oblivious. Alex frowned at this. I wouldn't put it that way. After all, the money is hers. Are you upset about what I said? Lily looked at him incredulously. She always acts high and mighty, like giving us her leftovers. We're the ones who understand each other. With that, she stood on her toes and kissed him. Alex didn't pull away. She stopped recording, adjusted her emotions, and walked out. Alex, Lily, is that you too? She feigned shock at seeing them kiss. Hearing her voice, Alex quickly pushed Lily away and took a few steps back. Sophia, no, it's not what you think. Let me explain. Before he could finish, she ran off. Unexpectedly, he followed her. This was a complete surprise. Last time he abandoned her and chased after Lily. This time, it was the opposite. Panic set in as he approached. Desperate, she darted into a random restaurant. Suddenly, an arm pulled her into the restroom and pinned her against the wall. You! She almost screamed, but a warm hand covered her mouth. Ethan looked down at her and signaled, Don't make a sound. Her heart raced as she nodded. In the cramped space, his youthful scent filled the air. Her cheeks warmed and he awkwardly looked away. After what felt like an eternity, when the noises outside ceased, he let her go. Thank you. Maybe staying in one position for too long, she stammered. He raised an eyebrow and teased, I don't need a verbal thank you. How about I take you out to eat next time? You've helped me a few times now. Why wait? Let's go today. But I've already eaten. I haven't. On her way back, she encountered Alex at the dorm entrance. He was waiting by the door, looking like he'd been there for a while. It seemed she couldn't avoid this confrontation anymore. It's just as well. I have no more reason to keep pretending. When he saw her, he quickly walked over. Sophia, why are you so late? It's not safe for a girl to be out alone this late. She looked at him impatiently. Alex, after everything, can you really pretend nothing happened? I'm tired. Let's break up. He panicked. No, we can't break up. I've already ended things with Lily. I promise it won't happen again. Ignoring his plea, she coldly said, During our time together, including the money I transferred, you owe me about $200,000. I'll list it all out for you. Pay me back as soon as you can. What? His eyes widened in disbelief. Sophia, how can you do this? She couldn't be bothered to argue and walked off without looking back. When she reached the dorm, Lily was removing her makeup. "Back already?" she sneered. "Alex looked everywhere for you, waiting for hours downstairs. Happy now?" "So what? He chose me over you. Are you jealous?" She taunted her, enjoying the moment. "You? What did I do wrong? What difference does it make? Alex never touched you. He's only after your money." A loud slap echoed through the room as she grabbed Lily's hair and slapped her hard. "Lily, stealing my makeup and spending my money is one thing, but disrespecting me, how? How did you know?" Every time Lily did her makeup, her products would disappear, especially the high-end ones. At first, she hadn't used much and didn't notice, but it became too obvious. She pulled Lily's hair back, forcing her to look at her. Her manicured nails grazed Lily's reddened cheek, making her shiver. She smiled. "Next time, don't be so arrogant in front of me. Stay away from me, don't touch my stuff, or I'll leave scars on that pretty face of yours." Lily opened her eyes wide, looking at her in horror and reluctance. She pushed Lily away and wiped off her disgust. That night, she posted again, but this time without anonymity. "I'm Sophia. Everyone, please avoid my ex-boyfriend Alex. Tonight, I found out he betrayed me. While dating me, he was also kissing and dating my roommate. I attached a video from tonight. Not only did he deceive me emotionally, but he also tricked me out of a lot of money during our relationship." Lily reported this to the police and vowed to continue until he repaid every cent. Attached were the transfer records. I hope everyone can be vigilant and find someone who genuinely cares for them. Once the post was up, many people shared and commented on it. "Alex, isn't he the same jerk who was exposed for cheating before? Boyfriend and roommate? How nasty! Using his girlfriend's money to support a mistress?" As things escalated, Lily posted a picture in the comments. "Look, everyone, this is her hitting me. It's pure bullying." Soon, supportive netizens clapped back. "You seduced her boyfriend? What do you expect? You deserve it. This bullying? You don't even know what real bullying is. Come here, I'll show you." Seeing how the comments were turning, she closed her phone, feeling satisfied. Everything was going according to her plan. Alex called her nonstop every day, and after she blocked him, he began to corner her all over school. This time, it was in the middle of the schoolyard in broad daylight. "Sophia, I know I was wrong. Can you forgive me?" He blocked her path, pleading. She planned to ignore him like before and walk away, but this time he grabbed her wrist. "I made a mistake. I've already spent almost all of the $200,000. I can't pay it back." "You can't pay it back?" she sneered, meeting his pleading eyes. "Alex, when you spent my money on your mistress, did you think about whether you could afford it?" No, I only truly love you. Let go. Seeing you makes me sick." She struggled, but he clenched tighter, eyes full of desperation. "Sick? You hate me that much now. Fine, don't blame me for being unkind. Shouldn't you return the money I sent you on Valentine's Day?" She laughed coldly. $520? That's nothing compared to the $200,000 I gave you. One last time, let go." "Sophia, I'm begging you. I really don't have that kind of money." He knelt, eyes red, voice choked. "I don't have that much. My dad was recently diagnosed with liver cancer and we've spent all our savings. There's no way my family can come up with that much money." "That's not my problem. Alex, let go of me." Her wrist was already red from his grip, and she couldn't break free. Onlookers gathered, whispering among themselves. She said, "Let go." "Didn't you hear?" A familiar voice sounded behind her. It was cold, but somehow comforting. "Why are you here?" "Stay out of this. It's between us." Before Alex could finish, he was kicked and fell to the ground. Ethan looked down at him, saying casually, "I just got involved. What are you going to do about it? You just like the criminal's son, always meddling. Maybe that's how your dad got locked up back then." "Alex, get lost now." She stood in front of Ethan, pointing at him angrily. "Ethan is great. He shouldn't be insulted because of me. Sophia, you too." "Fine, I've been a fool in love. I'm leaving now," Alex said, backing away in embarrassment. Once he was gone, she turned around and met Ethan's intense gaze. He was staring at her directly, without hiding his feelings. She coughed lightly, her cheeks warming. "Ethan, don't take what he said to heart. It's fine. I'm used to it," he replied indifferently, his eyes shifting to her red wrist. She hurriedly hid her hand behind her back, avoiding his gaze. What they say doesn't matter. In my eyes, you're you, independent of anyone else. Give me your hand? She looked at him, puzzled. Talking about this now? He wants my hand? The next moment, he grabbed her hand and examined it closely. It's red. Does it hurt? She shook her head. It looks worse than it feels. My skin bruises easily. A small bump can leave a visible mark, even if it doesn't hurt. Really? It's fine. It doesn't hurt at all. They were on the playground, and there were still many people around. She felt embarrassed and quickly pulled her hand back. I need to get some medicine. Come with me to the nurse's office. Are you sick? Is it serious? She asked quickly. He ignored her, walking ahead. She followed him to the nurse's office. The nurse was busy with many patients. When she saw Ethan, the nurse's eyes lit up, then glanced at her and teased, Brought your girlfriend, huh? I'm busy. Here's the ointment. She poked Ethan from behind, signaling him to clear up the misunderstanding. But he didn't react. He took the ointment and led her to sit down. Give me your hand. This time, she obediently handed it over. Ethan bent down, carefully applying the ointment. The cool gel felt soothing against his warm fingers. He was gentle, constantly asking if it hurt, adjusting his pressure. What should have taken a few minutes stretched to 10 or more. All done. Apply it once daily for a few days. She nodded, pulling her hand back. He paused, then continued. I come to the nurse's office a lot. She knows me well. Don't mind her comment earlier. Realizing he referred to the girlfriend comment, she whispered, Okay. He suddenly reached out his hand, hesitating halfway. She watched in confusion as his hand slowly lowered and gently ruffled her hair. Come on, I'll take you back. But didn't you still need to buy medicine? He stopped, bent over, and looked her straight in the eyes. You're buying it for me when we go out. It was already raining. The light drizzle seemed like it would last for a while. Looks like it won't stop anytime soon. Come here. He gestured for her to come over. She walked slowly towards him. Ethan placed his coat over her head, shielding her as they ran to the nearest bulletin board shelter. Your clothes are all wet. She touched her head and took off the wet coat. It's going to get washed anyway. No big deal. I'll take it back and wash it for you and return it tomorrow. After all, the coat shielded me from the rain. He patted her head and, seeing she wasn't soaked, smiled. All right, whatever you say. She looked up at him. Water droplets ran from his hair down to his chin and disappeared into his white shirt. He smiled, his Adam's apple moving, looking like an especially enticing feature. Moved by curiosity, she reached out and touched it. As soon as she did, his large hand caught hers. Ethan stared at her, his voice hoarse. Sophia, never heard that you're not supposed to touch a guy's Adam's apple. She looked into his burning gaze and in a daze asked, What happens if you touch it? He didn't answer. The next second, he tightened his grip on her hand and leaned in to kiss her. So, this is what happens. Her mind went blank, all her thoughts crashing as she stared at him up close. A stone seemed to drop into her still heart, sending ripples outward. In that moment, her heart raced uncontrollably. Close your eyes? His voice was even huskier. She didn't know how much time passed until she heard Alex's angry roar next to her ear. What are you two doing? Ethan pulled her behind him and she peeked out nervously. Alex didn't have an umbrella and stood in the rain, his eyes blazing as he looked at her and Ethan. Ethan, really? How dare you? Furious, he swung his fist at Ethan. Alex, we already broke up. Who I'm with now has nothing to do with you. She held Ethan's hand, pulling him back, signaling him not to get impulsive. Break up? But I've always loved you the most. Alex pointed at her. Sophia, come here. Ethan turned to her. She shook her head, refusing. He gripped her hand tightly, facing Alex. She won't go with you. This is my last warning. Don't harass her again. Alex's eyes were filled with malice. Sophia, you're really heartless. You believed in me and loved me so much before. Now you've just fallen for someone else. You're so cheap. Before he could finish, Ethan had already punched him, and they were instantly engaged in a fight. She stood there, anxious and too scared to intervene. They fought fiercely, especially Ethan, and in no time, Alex's face was bruised. Ethan, stop! Ethan, if this keeps up, someone will get seriously hurt. Seeing Alex seemingly unable to resist and close to losing consciousness, she rushed forward, hugging Ethan tightly from behind, stopping any of his movements. "Stop it! Stop it!" The ground was bloody. She was terrified. Her voice began to tremble. Ethan finally stopped and, turning to hold her, said, "Sophia, it's all right. Don't be afraid. I'm here." When the ambulance arrived, Alex was unconscious. Ethan was also injured, but his wounds were minor compared to Alex's. Alex was taken away. No matter what she said, Ethan refused to go to the hospital. She cried out in frustration, demanding he must accompany her for a checkup. He gently wiped away her tears, hugging her. "Sophia, don't cry. I'll go to the hospital." She discovered that Ethan had severe bipolar disorder. The way he fought was due to being triggered by Alex's words. His injuries weren't serious, just minor ones needing proper care. "I'm sorry, Sophia, for scaring you earlier." Ethan looked at her guiltily. Her face was still tear-streaked as she sat sobbing beside him. "You're not allowed to fight anymore. I won't allow it." He chuckled softly, pulling her into a hug. "All right." When Ethan was discharged, she heard Alex had sold a kidney for money. He even forcibly took back the money he'd spent on Lily. As they left the hospital, Alex caught up with them. "Sophia, wait!" She turned to see him bandaged, clutching his abdomen, limping. His hair was messy, stubble unkempt, eyes hollow and bloodshot, looking disheveled. She frowned. "What is it?" He handed her a bank card. "This is for you. The money I owed is in there." Lowering his head, his voice choked with emotion. "I've thought through everything. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Now that the debt is paid, we're leaving." She didn't have the patience to hear more, and holding Ethan's hand, walked away. Belated love is worth less than weeds, and late apologies even less. Ethan's place was in a row of townhouses. She hadn't realized his home was in the same neighborhood as hers. The house was simple, clean, and spacious, showing few occupants. Ethan explained, "After my mom cheated 7 years ago, my dad killed her and was sent to jail, leaving me alone in the house. Since then, I developed bipolar disorder, often shutting myself in, unable to control my emotions." Hearing this made her heart ache deeply. He was so young back then, and went through so much. Her eyes began to sting for no reason, and her voice softened. "I live nearby. I'll be coming over these next few days to take care of you until you're fully healed. Even when you're better, I'll still come over often." "I know, thank you." Ethan finished speaking, took a bottle of milk from the fridge, and handed it to her. "All I have in the house is milk and red wine. You should drink this. It'll help you grow." She protested. "I'm already an adult. I can't grow any taller." He looked her up and down. "You're too thin. I can feel your bones when I hold you." "No way." Her face turned red as she glared at him. He chuckled, his voice deep and magnetic, then casually grabbed a bottle of red wine, preparing to open it. "You're not fully healed yet? You can't drink?" She stepped forward to snatch the wine from his hand. To her surprise, he lifted it above his head, using his height to easily overpower her. Not only did she fail to get the wine, but she also ended up falling into his arms. He wrapped his arm around her waist and laughed softly in her ear. "Don't cry, silly. If you care about me, be my girlfriend, okay? And I want some candy." The breeze carried the sounds of summer night's insects through the window, and he swallowed all the words she had left to say. Ethan's epilogue: she had a dream. In the dream, Sophia married Alex and got pregnant. In the end, she died in childbirth. The dream felt so real. She woke up drenched in sweat. Thankfully, she found herself sleeping soundly in Ethan's arms. She couldn't help but think about the day they first met. It was snowing heavily that day, and there was blood too. After school, when she got home, she saw her father stab a fruit knife into her mother's chest. Blood everywhere. Terrified, she crouched alone by the door and silently called the police. When he was taken away in handcuffs, the hateful and venomous look he gave her was something she could never forget. The house was filled with blood, and she didn't dare go inside. She just stayed crouched by the door. In a very short time, she went from having a family to having no family at all, from having a home to feeling homeless. Tears fell to the ground and quickly turned to ice. Her whole body was freezing. She thought maybe it's okay to freeze to death like this. After all, no one wanted her anyway. As it got darker, everyone was heading home. Only she was still crouching there. She didn't know where to go. She hated her own cowardice and weakness. Suddenly, a soft, sweet voice sounded in front of her. "Big sister, have some candy when you're sad. It's really sweet." It was a cute girl, her smile forming two shallow dimples. Without thinking, she refused. No. Before she could finish, the girl popped a candy into her mouth. "How is it? Isn't it sweet?" She crouched down to meet her eyes, her gaze filled with stars. She stared at the girl, dumbfounded, and mumbled, "Very sweet." That bit of sweetness suppressed all the bitterness in her heart at that moment. Later, she accidentally found out the girl's name was Emily, and she lived in the same neighborhood. She became weirdly obsessed, paying more and more attention to her, wanting to know her better. After school, she would purposely walk past Emily's classroom just to catch a glimpse of her. On the way home, she would quietly follow her, wanting to protect her. Emily never seemed to notice her, yet at the same time, she was relieved Emily didn't fear her. Almost everyone at school feared her, and she didn't care. What mattered was whether Emily feared her. She didn't know when she started liking Emily. By the time she realized it, love had already taken root in her heart. Her roommate, Ethan, suddenly confessed to Emily, and Emily accepted. The girl she had silently guarded for years got together with the guy next to her. She felt suffocated. The worst part was Ethan wasn't a good person. She couldn't hold back and tried to persuade Emily, saying he wasn't worth it. Emily agreed on the surface, but then Ethan cheated, leaving her to cry alone on the rooftop. Her heart ached and bled, not understanding what made Ethan so special. Emily seemed to fear her, which made her both angry and anxious. She wasn't ugly. Was she really that scary? She couldn't stop herself from caring about Emily. She'd follow her and watch, even if it hurt to see them together. Heaven didn't let her down. One day, Emily caught Ethan cheating. The moment she pulled her into the bathroom, she was so excited. She wanted to kiss her, but was afraid of scaring her. They broke up, and she was ecstatic. Ethan, that scum, realized his mistake and harassed Emily every day, even bruising her hand. She kicked him away and took Emily to the nurse to get some medicine. It rained. She took off her jacket to shield Emily from the rain. Emily said she'd wash and return it. "She is so cute. How could there be such a cute girl?" She touched Ethan's Adam's apple. "Doesn't she know that boys' Adam's apples shouldn't be touched casually? Could it be that Emily—" She couldn't resist and kissed her. Sure enough, it was as sweet as she imagined. She got into a fight with Alex. Honestly, I've disliked him for a long time. Ruining my plans was one thing, but insulting Emily was something I couldn't tolerate. Her anger flared and she couldn't control herself, landing a few extra punches. He ended up like that, really weak. Emily cried and worried about her, insisting on taking her to the hospital. No one had ever cared about her this much. Emily said she'd take care of her until she was fully healed. Suddenly, getting injured wasn't such a bad thing after all. She told Emily everything about her past, wanting her to fully understand her. Of course, she included the part about having liked Emily for a very long time. She finally confessed the feelings she had kept hidden for so long. Luckily, Emily accepted. So everyone, please wish them eternal happiness.